Nothing will change unless you make the change yourself. Let him. That would move the world. First move himself. That is a quote from Greek philosopher Socrates. He is considered the primary source of Western thought. Because he could neither read nor write, much of what we know of his life was recorded by his students, Plato and Xenophon. His Socratic Method laid the groundwork for Western systems of logic and philosophy, delivering a belief that through the act of questioning, the mind can manage to find truth. He is one of the few individuals whom one could say has so shaped the cultural and intellectual development of the world that, without him, history would be profoundly different. Socrates was a moral philosopher. He was not interested in mathematics or science but was concerned with the quality of his soul and that of others. Socrates' philosophy examines how we should live. This led him to discussions on various virtues, things like wisdom, justice, courage, piety, and so on. He quoted, "Wealth does not bring goodness, but goodness brings wealth." His teaching suggested that people should care less about their bodies and possessions and more about their souls. Socrates was a man of principle. He lived according to what he believed. He was not interested in material possessions or physical beauty. He was well known to be poor and ugly, and he took no money for his teaching as the sophists did. He dedicated his whole life to understanding the virtues so that he could be more virtuous and educate others on how to be virtuous too, which he thought led to true happiness. Socrates advocated self-understanding and felt so strongly about it that he deemed it more important than any other pursuit in life. The 3 principles of Socrates are the foundations of all of his teachings. These principles are what Socrates thought were the most important goals of philosophy. The first one is: discover and pursue life's purpose. The most important task you face is realizing your potential as a person. Who you are. It is necessary to lead a responsible and fully awake life. If you don't try to figure out who you are and what you believe, then you are content to just exist, then what's the point in that? What is the worth in your existence? His second principle is: care for your soul. The most important task in life is caring for your soul. Your soul is the real person, who you really are. It is the center of your character and what makes you who you are. It is the basis of your thoughts, feelings, values, and decisions. Socrates found that his fellow citizens cared more for wealth, reputation, and their bodies while neglecting their souls. He believed that his mission from God was to examine his fellow citizens and persuade them that the most important good for a human being was the health of the soul. The third principle of Socrates is: be a good person and you will not be harmed by outside forces. If your soul is good, then outside forces cannot harm you. If the most important part of you is your soul and the soul is not physical but inward, then it cannot be harmed. The body may be harmed by another person, but the soul cannot unless you allow yourself to become susceptible to others. If you want to be admired, be a good person. Stand up for others. Endure their slights and silliness and worse. Insist on truth. Be in control of yourself. Every day, even if no one is watching. Socrates states, no one chooses evil, no one chooses to act in ignorance. We seek the good, but fail to achieve it by ignorance or lack of knowledge as to how to obtain what is good. He believes no one would intentionally harm themselves. When harm comes to us, although we thought we were seeking the good is not obtained in such a case since we lack knowledge as to how best to achieve the good. His style of philosophizing was to engage in public conversations about some human excellence, and through skillful questioning, to show that his interlocutors did not know what they were talking about. Despite the negative results of these encounters, Socrates did hold some broad positive views, including that virtue is a form of knowledge and that care of the soul, the cultivation of virtue, is the most important human obligation. Socrates has had a strong influence on the philosophers after him and has continued to in the modern era. He was the inspiration for Plato, the thinker widely held to be the founder of the Western philosophical tradition. Plato in turn served as the teacher of Aristotle, thus establishing the famous triad of ancient philosophers, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Nothing will change unless you make the change yourself. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.